Hey, good day to you. Salam Budi Luhur.
Salam.
It's a very nice day, a beautiful morning for us to convene here in this room for our first meeting of the subject project management. So I hope you still remember my name. If not, it's written here. My name is Joko. In this class, for the next 15 weeks from now, we'll be talking about how to manage a project, how to create a successful project from scratch. And you'll be working in teams later on to create your own team project. Use the information, the knowledge that we'll be covering on the theoretical side. Okay, so you may open the slides if you use your smartphones. It's on the e-learning, the first meeting. We'll be using several books as a reference, and I will try to combine those books to find better and equal content to be presented to you. I'll just start with the first slides. Okay, so I'm compile the information from various sources. Mostly it's from Project Management Body of Knowledge, the MBOK. Okay. 6th edition. I will share with you this book later. And Project Management in Practice, 4th edition, with some other various sources. You should know that the main information will be from this book, these two books. And there are a specific institute that covers how to be a successful project manager. And the body of knowledge, we call this BOK, is being written and presented in a book that's called Project Management Book of Knowledge from Project Management Institute. So there are a legitimate institute in which the technological, the best practices, the way you can do project is being certified for international certification. Okay? Now, the book is quite thick. It's about 500-page book, all in English, and I'm sure you're eager to read. And there's the smile. Okay, it's okay. I'll try to summarize the content. The first question will be, why project management? Please allow me to turn off the lights. This is powerfully. It will not disrupt me. The first question is, why project management? We'll be covering this session for the whole question. Why? Why do we need project management? What is the characteristic of project management? Why do companies need project management? After completing this chapter, you will be able to understand why project management is becoming such powerful and popular practice in business. You will be able to recognize the basic properties of projects, including their definition, starting from the definition. Understand why effective project management is such a challenge. So it's already stated here explicitly that project management is not an easy task. It's quite demanding and quite challenging. Then you will be able to differentiate between project management practices and more traditional process-oriented business functions. And you should recognize the key motivators that pushing companies to adapt project management practices. We'll just start. Okay. A brief introduction. I have previously said before about Project Management Institute, PMI. This is the world-leading project management professional organization. They administer the globally recognized project management professional certification. So for international certification in project management, you should take the certification. Publishes the book that I have before mentioned, and the material that are covered is using from that book. Now, what is a project? You may sit here, you may take the table, it's okay. Actually, you may sit here. Just try not to make knocking sound because it will be recorded. Okay, so if I ask you what is a project, what will you say? What's your definition of project? Do you say that making a cookie, making a pancake for your breakfast is a project? No? Why not? So you're waking up in the morning, you're hungry, and you think to yourself, I want to eat pancakes. Can it be a project?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Because it has the basic characteristic. I have the requirement, making a pancake. I have a schedule, it must be completed within the hour, or else I may get starved. I have a budget, I need to use 1, 2, 3 eggs. And I have a closure criteria, which is the outcome is a pancake that I can eat. So yes, you can think of making a pancake for breakfast is a project, albeit it's a very, very small project because it's individual and not very time consuming. You can finish it in half an hour. For the sake of our argument in this lessons, we'll be talking about project in a larger scope. So projects can come in small or large scopes. But actually, everything that you do that is not repetitive and have this criteria, you can say that it's a project. Maybe it's small, maybe it's big, but it's a project. Okay, now let's discuss about a project in organizational terms. Okay, the elements of project is have a complex one-time process. So, in our previous example, making pancakes, it's hard to be categorized in organizational projects because it's individual and it's not complex. So the one that we're talking here is the one that's complex. One-time process, limited by budget, schedule, and resources. Developed to resolve a clear goal or set of goals. And it's customer focused. I may add, you may change the text become stakeholder focused. Okay? So, this is the elements of project. If it's not complex, then we are not talking about big enough project. What's the difference between process and project? Process is something that ongoing day-to-day activity to produce goods and services. And you do it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So in our previous example, if you're making the pancake as something of a process, you do it every morning, you cannot categorize it as a project. But if you do it with a specific reason, let's just say, I want this pancake to be different. My project is to create pancakes that taste like honey. Perhaps you add more honey into the pancakes or something. That's different, it's one-time process and it's more complex. So you can call it your personal project. Okay? Now, process in organizational terms is ongoing day-to-day activities to produce goods and service. It uses existing system, existing properties, existing capabilities of the organization. And this is the most underlined. Text is typically repetitive. Like I said, you do it today, you do it tomorrow, you do it the day after tomorrow, and so on. That's process. Although it produces something. Projects also produce something. But projects take place outside the normal process-oriented world. Outside that scope. Unique and separate from routine process-driven work, and this is the one that needs to be underlined, continually evolving, which means a project shifts and changes while you're doing it. So you need to dynamically respond to the way the project reacts. Any question here? So we can summarize, a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service or services. Temporary endeavor. It's not repetitive. It has a closing time. It has a start and close. Okay? Next. So, what is project management? After we understand the difference between project and process, what is project management means? Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. This is the technological terms from PMBOK. I might add my own terms. Let's just say the project management is how you apply your knowledge and skills to dynamically follow the ever-evolving project to reach its goals, to achieve its goals. Okay? Now, so a project can be considered any series of activities and tasks that have one, specific objective. If you have specific objective. Two, define start and end dates. I have start, I have end. Funding limits or resource limits. Maybe for a big project that's emergency projects from governments, you may not have funding limits, but you have other kind of limits. Environmental limits, capability limits, and so on. Human and non-human resources are included, and it's multifunctional focus. What it means? It means it's trying to deliver something for the stakeholders to satisfy the customers. That's project. If you have any question, you may ask it now. Am I going too fast? Okay. Next, let's see some project management statistics. We see that project management is the trend of the usage of project management is going higher for each organization. But in this slide, we can see that after a survey done by the PMI, we can see that the adoption rate of project management across organization. The data is about software specifically, because many of the project is usually IT driven, so the example is from the IT section. About 58% of organizations fully understand the value of project management. So it's just a little more than half of the organization thinks that I should have a good project management. 93% of organizations report using standardized project management practices. So it's not trying to do it and evolving with each organization capabilities, but they use a set of references, a set of standards, project management practices to do it. Almost all of them. 68%, more than 2 of 3, in organization, in PMI annual survey said they use outsource, which means they do not use internal resources. They use internal resources for controlling, managing, maybe directing a little, but the body of the project is usually being outsourced to different companies or organizations. Only 23% of organizations use standardized project management across entire organization. 33 use standardized practice, but not across all departments. While a small portion, about 70% of organizations, don't use any standard practices at all. From this statistic, we can see that there are a constant need for a project managers for each organization, any organization. Before I came to this room, before I give you today's dialogue, I have mini research, and I found that in the US, the project manager's annual revenue is roughly about $78,000 US per year, without bonuses. Okay? The bonuses will vary between organizations. So, because the demand of project managers is high, and the characteristic of project is usually outsourced, here outsourced, which means there are open jobs in the market for project managers, specifically project managers that are certified. Okay. Now, let's see, general project characteristic. Each project have a general characteristic, as you can see here. Entail means contain crossing functional and organizational boundaries. We can see that organizational have one department, each department is usually focused in each department processes only. So the accounting just say, hey, my job is just doing accounting. The production say, hey, my job is just doing production, and so on. Okay, human resource, they say, hey, I'm managing your human resource. But when we talk about project, it's usually crossing the functional boundaries of that small silos, small departments needs to be, we'll just say, gathered up as a stakeholder and then play their part when doing the project. This is one of the challenges about project management, because, as I said before, each department will have its own goals and how to make them reconvene and say, hey, we have common goal, we have common objective, and how to reach that common objective is through this project. Okay? Now, traditional management function of planning, organizing, motivating, directing, and controlling still applies in general project characteristic. The principal outcomes are the satisfaction of stakeholders. So your stakeholders should be satisfied. That is one of the primary goal in project management. How to deliver the outcome of the project and satisfy the stakeholder. But there is an restriction, which is it must be within the quality, within the cost, and within the schedule objectives. Because each project have a quality standard, have a cost standard, and a schedule. If the project, let's just say the project is planned to be 3 months, and then you deliver it in 6 months, you cannot say that it will satisfy the stakeholder. Even though in the end of the project, the stakeholders still applause and give you a big smile and give you a paycheck. But it will not still be counted as a successful project because the timeline is overdue. Okay? Now, terminated upon successful completion of performance objective. This sentence implies that when you have not successfully complete the performance objective, then the project might not be terminated. That's why you keep hearing that the project is being, some project is being extended. The period of time is extended again. Why? Because it's not terminated yet. It still didn't deliver what it should deliver. Sadly, in the statistic, a few years ago, until now, most of the, I have experience in the IT project, so I can tell about you that most of the IT project, usually about more than 40% is lagging behind schedule. Although some of the newer research said that it's getting better, it's still not good enough. And the general project still applies, still have the same issue, which is how to conform with the quality, the cost, and schedule objective. Any question for now? Okay. Now, let's continue. After we talk about general project characteristics, let's talk about why are they important. You can do process iteratively, you can do process to create outcomes, but usually when you have a special needs of outcome, you cannot do it in process-oriented day-to-day activity. You need projects and a good managed project then. So why are projects important? Because it shortens the product life cycle. The product here being the deliverables that needed to be delivered to the customer or the stakeholders. Narrow the product launch window. If you're in an organization and you're selling, each organization sells or do something with products, goods, or services, or services. The definition of product here is the goods and the services. So if you can launch the goods and the services faster, you have a competitive edge. 3, increasingly complex and technical products or process leads to the needs to contain, maintain, and organize the project better. 4, emergence of global markets. We are talking about goods and services that being sold or being distributed for international usage. And economic period marked by low inflation. This is the, let's just say, the incentive of doing projects because of economical pressure. Because if you have good project that produce good deliverables, then you can say that you can drive the organizational economic better. Okay, now project life cycles. In the project life cycles, there are 4 big parts, which is conceptualization, planning, execution, and termination. In this graph, you'll see that I have 2 lines here. The vertical line is for the man hours, work hours, okay, the resources needed, and the horizontal line is for the life cycle. So it started with conceptualization, which did not use so many man hours, but usually this is the top brass jobs. Top brass is pseudonym for, in military, means the major, the general, and so on. In organizational, it's mean the manager, the CEO or something. They have an idea and say, hey, I need to do this. And they taught their underlings to say, hey, you start a project or you do this, or how to do that. So that's the conceptualization, and goes to planning. In the planning, usually the man hours is higher because they started to say, hey, how to do this project properly, how much resources we need, how much time we need. That's the part of the planning. And then the execution will take more man hours until the termination. That's the life cycle. Because a project has a start and end, each project starts with conceptualization and each project ends with the project termination. It's not actually a cycle, because the next project is a different project. But it might be the continuation of the previous project. Okay? Okay. Now, this is the textual information about the acronym being used. Conceptualization is the development of the initial goal and technical specification. Planning is all detailed specification, schedules, schematics, and plans that are developed. And then execution is the actual work of the project being performed. Termination is the project transferred to customer, resources assigned, and project closing. We have 4 dimensions of a project success. Each dimension, you can see in this graph, can take more time and have more importance. Actually, a good project is always preparing for the future. Actually, it's the main goal. The most sought after is the preparing for the future, so the company can hold on to that competitive edge or give the deliverables to customers and have a business success, have an impact on the customer within the efficiency needed. Okay, so assembling of project management tasks. Ensuring involvement of all stakeholders. It's not easy. It's very easy to be said than done, because the stakeholders usually covers a wide range of peoples, departments, and even other organizations. Resource allocation, resource planning, schedule planning, monitoring progress, this is hard to do also, team development and leadership. My friend always say that, hey, if there's a problem in the system, my friend is an IT consultant, he said that I have problem in the system, it's quite easy to fix. But if I have a problem in my personnel, in the human, that's more harder. Because there's a human side in it. And the human side is not always predictable. And that's why we need leadership. And there's a risk management, managing the client and customer interaction and expectation, or stakeholders' expectations, and change management. I don't know if you have the course for change management, but change management is one of the big influence in each organization, because each organization cannot stays the same for a long time. I mean, the process they do, the management they do, they cannot do it the same as long as the company survive. Actually, because the driving of internet, the driving of open borders, open markets, it pushed each company to change the way they work, change the way they do things, and there's change there. That's why we need change management. Importance of processes. The effective and sorry, Cortana, I did not call you. Okay. The importance of processes. The effective and reliable application of knowledge and skill is greatly enhanced by the well-defined set of process. So, if I say that your project is creating a pancake with a honey flavor, then the effective and reliable application of your knowledge to create the pancake is greatly enhanced with a well-defined process. Example, you define the process as: first, I bring all of the ingredients, the eggs, the flour, the oil, the stove, I put it all in here. After that, I need to take a bowl and then break the egg, mix it with flour, and so on, with a standardized process. When you have a standardized process, then you greatly enhance the effectivity, because you have what it says in organizational terms, the standard operating procedure. Okay, but not all process can have an SOP, especially in project. Usually you have to quote wing it on the fly, end quote. Such set of processes can help you to ensure that the application of the appropriate knowledge skills repeatedly produce the desired outcomes over a wide range of projects, as well as over a wide range of project teams. In short, robust and well-defined processes are a key component to ensure high degree of predictability, repeatability, and successful management of project within the organization. Any question? No? So, definition of process. Process, this is the technical definition: systematic series of activities directed toward causing a result such that one or more inputs will be acted upon to create more output. Accomplishing tasks to process. So in the project we have tasks. In the tasks we do it by doing process. The PMBOK guide identifies 47 fundamental project management processes, and these processes are logically grouped in two complementary ways: by major process group and by project management knowledge area. So one is by the process, one is by the knowledge area. There are 5 process groups and 10 knowledge areas, giving later on a matrix of 2-dimensional. The knowledge areas are integrated across various process groups. Now, for each project, we have a project manager, and the project manager has these responsibilities. He or she needs to select a team, develop the objective, perform the risk management, estimate the costs, schedule, and managing resource. One of the major challenges is to select the team and manage the resource. It's human side. Okay, for this part, tools that can be used to help. Okay, now this is the knowledge areas and process groups matrix. You can see that there are 10 here, from integration management into stakeholder management. And within the project management process, we can have initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing. Inside this intersection, we can see what should be done. For example, in integration management, in the process of initiating, we need to develop a project charter. Okay? Within the knowledge area of time management, in planning, we need to do this, and so on. So in this matrix, you can see what needs to be done in a project and what knowledge it must have to do that process. We'll be covering this later on next meeting. This is just the introduction. Okay? The 5 project management process groups. So there are 5 project management process that's called from initiating, planning, executing, and closing. Within all of these 4 process, we need to do monitoring and control. The process groups are not phases. It is important to make basic point. The process management process group are not phases. Phases means from phase A to phase B and cannot return to phase A. From phase A to phase B to phase C cannot return to phase B. No, those are phases. But the project management process group are not phases. It is often tempting to identify phases of project group, but there are some distinct differences. The primary difference is that the process groups are interrelated, connected one each other in more essential ways than phases. As you can see from this picture, the whole monitoring consists of all. So we cannot say that there's a phase of initiating, then there's a phase of monitoring. No, we cannot do that. It's all integrated in a core level. In fact, the planning, executing, and controlling monitoring process group have an inherent iterative means looping, doing more than once, relation in all projects. Now, how about the iterative heart of the matter? Here we can see that the iteration is driven by the monitoring and controlling process. When the project is undergo and you found that it's not doing the way it should, then probably the execution will stop, halt, and then start from planning again. The newest example is about the fast train from Jakarta Bandung. If you check out the news, you'll find out that it's being halted for a while. Why? Because there are environmental issues, there are some regulation being broken, and so on. So from executing, they stop, they halt. Maybe they are replanning it again to execute it again. So like I said, it's not a direct phase from A to B, B to C. It can be reiterated. Okay? Now, project management at high level. There are 3 major activities that every project manager must focus on. I sincerely hope in years to come, you all become the project manager. In what project? In your own organization or the organization you work for. But you must remember this. 1, you need to discover and understand what is the project requirements. What is the project requirements mean? What is the deliverables? What is the scope? What is the time span? What is the cost, and so on. Address the needs, concern, and expectation of project stakeholders as the project proceeds. Usually, if you do not have the, let's just say, you do not have the focus on this, you cannot catch or find what the stakeholders want. Sometimes they change within the project. when the project is running, they have a change of heart, which means you have to dynamically change how the project goes. So you need to address their needs, because the project is theirs, and you're being paid for them, by them. Okay? Balance of completing the project constraint throughout the project. It's the time and resource issue. So, the project management constraints consist of the project schedule, the project's budget, the scope of the work that needs to be done, the quality of the project deliverables, resource availability, major risks inherent in the project. Some projects have risk, whether it's financial, organizational, health, or safety risk. And stakeholders characteristic. Each stakeholders, which means each organization, and within that organization there are stakeholders, even external stakeholders have their own characteristic that needs to be addressed. And sometimes you play the part of the peacemaker, because one of the stakeholders says, no, I want it like this. The other stakeholder, no, it should be like this. And then you play the peacemaker when you are a project manager. Hey, why don't you calm down? You both calm down, and then let's just say both of you concede to an agreement that actually neither win or lose for each stakeholder. So you become the peacemaker. Sometimes it happens. Next, the continued management project constraints is balancing this constraint is not an easy task because they're always interrelated. If any one of them change, at least one and perhaps more of the others is likely to change as well. So, this is the example. If the project schedule slips, this will almost certainly have an effect on the project budget. You budgeted for $10,000 for 10 weeks, and then the project slips, goes on until the 11th weeks, and how are you going to pay for the workers in the 11th week if you only have a budget in the 10th week, only for 10 weeks? That's a simple example. Similarly, if the schedule and budgets change, it's highly likely that the scope of the work or the quality, or perhaps both, will be impacted by the schedule change and the budget change. Clearly, resources available can have direct effect on the project schedule, which put into play the cascading effect. You know cascading? Do you know the house of cards? Playing cards that you put to become a house, okay? And then you flip one card. Cascade. That's called cascading. And when this event actually occurs, there will most certainly be impacts on one or several of other factors. So, like I said, project management is not easy, but it's not to be frightened of. Also not to be frightened about project management. I'm very I believe that all of you here have a good prospect to be a project manager someday, or at least a few weeks from now, because I'll be giving you projects. Now, project management constraint continued. Of course, the bottom line responsibility of the project manager is to see that the project requirements are satisfied on schedule and on budget. So the project manager's life is greatly complicated by the interrelationships among the various major project constraints. That's the hard part of being project managers. Any question here? Okay. Now, you should know that project planning is iterative. We already covered that. Iterative can be restarted again. As conditions change, competing constraints must be managed. So a project plan must be progressively monitored and elaborated. Progressive elaboration allows project manager to better match the project plan to reality. hey, I want to make a car, the car that can run 200 miles per hour, but I only have a budget of, let's say, $1 million, and I have the resources of 20 designers, 20 mechanics, and so on. But when the project starts, maybe you find out that, hey, the resources is not enough. Oh, hey, the budget is not enough. Then you have to change it, and that's called progressive elaboration. So, the planning, the major deliverables should not be changed, but how to achieve that can be changed. The three key factors that define project success. One, the iron triangle, which is the cost, quality, and time. I will talk about it in the next slide. The realized benefits and the stakeholders' satisfaction. These are the three key factors that define do or do not your project is called a success project. So let's talk about the triangle. You can also say it's a triple constraint. The specific project will determine the constraint in which the project manager should focus. The project manager's hard job is to balance, doing a balancing act between these three components, this triple constraint. It is time, how to achieve the project within the time allocated, cost, how to achieve it within the cost or the budget allocated, and the deliverables should still within the quality parameters, which is the scope and the performance. Or to balance these three, it's not that easy, but there are several tips and tricks that you can do. However, in every project, the project manager must pay close attention to this triple constraint. Now, the second and the third key factors that cause your project to be successful is the realizing benefits and stakeholder satisfaction. Most project managers tend to overlook the benefits and also ignore whether the client is happy. They just say, hey, I have a budget, I have a time, and I'll finish it. Whether my customer is happy, you're supposed to be happy, I deliver something for you. But that's not always the case. So project managers should also check out whether their customers, their stakeholders are happy. Instead, the project manager should try to create a balance, which focus should be on the iron triangle, we already talked, and the manager should also not lose sight of the realized benefits. Hey, this is the real benefits. Maybe the benefit is not literally makes the stakeholders happy, but you might want to, as a project manager, you might want to educate them and explain to them, elaborate to them that, hey, this benefits is good for you, and it is within the project constraint. So in order to achieve success, you need to be in agreement with the stakeholders regarding the project goals, the objective, and the success criteria. Last but not least, you should have documentation. For each project, you should have the documentation that includes success criteria, how the criteria be measured, how often it will be measured, once a week, twice a week, once a month, who will be responsible for measuring that success criteria? Are the project managers or the quality and assurance part from the projects? Also make sure that the success criteria are properly communicated to the team, or the team, all of the team should know what is the goal. The criteria should reflect on the work management software through effective project planning. So there are a few work tools that can be used for work management software. We'll cover that on future classes. At the end of the day, the success criteria should not be regarded as a set in stone. Success criteria is not something that already written in stone and then you follow it to the letter. In projects, success criteria sometimes change. Success criteria differs between one project and the other, and success criteria evolve. So you should, as a project manager, should strive to go beyond the success criteria and the expectation, and this is a surefire way, the most definite way for a project success. That is all for our first meeting. So, thank you. I'll be closing the video now. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.